I firmly believe, hot take, that when it comes to your own hobbies, that things like you enjoy doing or collecting, that is the exception to the rule in minimalism. And that you don't, like for me, like I consider myself a minimalist in a lot of areas. I know that sounds like what? And I'll explain, like I actually am in many ways. But when it comes to things like hobbies, I'm not a minimalist in that area. And I give myself a pass there. And I always found myself in conflict because, I collect a lot of microphones, and to everyone else, they're like, that's a bunch of clutter. You're a hoarder. And I'm like, I am in hobbies. But when it comes to other things in my life, people realize like, whoa, you're pretty hardcore. That's very minimalist on those other things. Rule number 1 is only keep that which makes you happy or something that serves an important purpose. Right? So in general, there are things that make you happy, sparks joy, but then you also need to factor things that are important. And if they are any of the two, then keep it, everything else, get rid of it, right? Number 2, what keyboard are you using when you type on a keyboard? What mouse are you using right now? What sort of pen are you using right now? What kind of socks do you wear? What kind of bed do you use? What kind of chair are you sitting on? Believe it or not, a lot of the things that you use in your life, often, you should be getting good versions of them. I cannot tell you how many people that actually can afford a lot more are sitting around with fucking shitty ass, keyboards they're using. And I was the same way too. I used to have a free keyboard that came on my computer and it was absolute shit. And I just kept it because it was free. I kept the shit mouse because it was free. I had a shitty kitchen knife because it was free, because it was donated. But what you realize and what gets you out of the matrix is like, no, I don't care that it's free. I'm going to get the best shit because I want to make my life easier. And so that's what you do, is get the best shit of things that you do and use all the time, is like my one rule. Okay, next category is if the item, this is more my rule, not your rule, my rule. It's got to look nice. I don't care if it's useful. If it doesn't look nice, I will not buy it. So, give an example. A friend of mine, he has Suguru. This is like this black glue. And when something breaks, he puts Suguru on it and it looks like shit. And I'm like, I'm different from him. I'm like, dude, your crap looks like ugly, man. I'm not going to. And what I do is if it breaks, I try to fix it. But if I can't fix it seamlessly, I will buy that individual part so that it looks clean. And that's kind of how my approach to everything is like, okay, next rule I have, and a lot of people do talk, is the 1 in, 1 out, 1 in, 1 out. That means each time you buy something, you take something out. Now, I bought this big ass kitchen appliance here, and I'm going to get rid of this pen. That's 1 in, 1 out, right? Like, no. It's got to be within the same category. Next thing is try to remove duplicates. So I like to keep only 3 USB cable types, duplicates of the same type. When in my kitchen, I have only 1 of each type. So 1 stainless steel pan, 1 nonstick pan, 1 cast iron pan, within 1 of each type. Or when I look at my knives, right, I have
basically 3 knives. A heavy duty chopping knife, followed by a small paring knife, which is brilliant for prepping vegetables. And then this baby here, a serrated edge knife.
Chef knife, I have a serrated knife and a paring knife. That's it. Or my cutting board, I only have 2, 1 large, 1 small. So don't keep a bunch of duplicates. Just condense it down. Sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy means don't worry about how much you paid for something. If often this happens, you buy something, it's absolute shit, and you're like, why did I fucking buy this? Or you bought it, and it's awesome, but you don't need it anymore, and you spent all this money on it, and you don't want to get rid of it. You got to get rid of it. You got to have the mentality of you got to get rid of it. Right? Is the 20/20 rule, right? So basically, don't keep a lot of items that you think to yourself, oh, someday I need it. Someday I need it. What if this happens? What if this happens? There's this rule, a 20/20 rule. This means that if you can replace something for $20 in less than 20 minutes, you don't need to keep it around. You know what I mean? And I can't tell you how many things I had in the house that I was like, well, I need it. What if this happens? Dude, if it happens, then go get it later on. It only costs you $20 or less than $20 and less than 20 minutes to get it then. And I'll tell you, just doing that rule alone clears out a lot of clutter. Now, this coincides with another rule. Well, 2 other rules that I'm going to talk about. Rule number 1 is Sometimes people will say, well, that's being so wasteful, blah, blah, blah. And people are all angry at you. You got to be like, fuck you. I don't care because you matter more. You know what I mean? Your mental health matters more.